No sooner did I finish with one radio project when these boxes showed up. So word's been getting around that I'm doing repair work, and I was contacted by someone about taking a look at a couple of his radios, and the first one just arrived. It's going to be something a little bit different for me. It's one I haven't worked on before. Stromberg Carlson, Model 64 as near as we can tell. Does not have the cabinet for it, just the chassis and the speaker. And there's no clear model indicated, but by checking the tube layout and asking some guys on the forums, pretty sure it's a Model 64. And I just noticed the shipping on these, about $80 between these two boxes. So that's the one downside with working on vintage stuff. I was sure I enjoyed doing it, but shipping things back and forth, so it's going to be $160 just in shipping, let alone all the cost of the parts and the tubes and the work. So somewhere in here should be a radio chassis, I think, and somewhere in there I think is a speaker, or maybe it's the other way around. Oh, actually, it says right in the box, tubes and shields here. Okay, and that's the speaker. Good way to pack stuff, double boxed. Put the actual items in a box that's pretty close fitting, and then put it inside a larger box and put some foam in between. The main thing I'm concerned about getting bent or damaged is the tuning mechanism in the middle. It looks like it's okay. Neat thing about this chassis is that it's painted nice and not only no corrosion, but it's a little bit colorful. So, from what I do know briefly about this is we've got the power transformer here. I think these two boxes filter cap of some sort and maybe a filter choke. And these green guys are IF cans. And this cap is particularly, or I think it's a cap especially because it's got a ton of tar. It's oozed out the bottom and out the top. I guess that's from years of operation. And this radio has an interesting feature on it, which is a type of preset mechanism. I'm not sure if it's fully functional, but the deal is there's this wheel thingy on the back that can be adjusted for presets. Actually, somewhat analogous to the concentric Philco system, where you can loosen these up and slide them along, and you can preset. But the presets have to be in ascending order from low to high station. You can't just kind of randomly assign these because they go sequentially at those different stop positions. It's like detents on the tuning cap. I'm not sure how that works though. I can kind of feel something when I rotate the tuning knob, like a sort of a click. So I don't know if that's all it was, that you would just feel the click and know that's where the station is. Well, I kind of thought it would be easy. You would turn this and it would snap between them, but well, could very well be broken. Here's a better look at the back side, and something sure doesn't seem right. When you rotate this hex knob, it just moves these levers a little bit. And looks like there's something broken off here. See, as it goes around, it's simply rotating this. There's a little click as these points hit this. They explained it a bit in the service info. There's also one on this side. Alright, well, we'll worry about that later. Let's see, back here. It's a chassis number, but no model number. It's actually fused. Pretty novel for something this old. Looks like the old plate that would have covered that fuse is gone. I'm not sure what this is for. And I presume that plug is for the speaker, and there's a little tube chart here. 5Z3 rectifier and 6A7 mixer oscillator, so this is new enough to be a superhet. And you can't see what the detector, the IF demodulator, could very well be a 6Q7. And then 42 IF amp, 37 probably phase inverter, and then 42 push-pull outputs. So 78 RF. So one like that Philco I worked on recently with 6F6 outputs that used a screen phase inversion. This uses a more conventional triode just for phase inversion. So it should be a pretty decent performer. So we got an RF stage up front and a mixer oscillator, IF stage, and then 2 audio stages. He wasn't sure if the tube lineup it came with was correct, and I think some tubes are missing, but those are common enough. Shouldn't be too much trouble to replace them. Here's a look underneath, and right away I can tell things are pretty ugly. Definitely been some repairs, possibly several waves of repairs. Looks like most, if not all, the caps have been replaced. Some with these seal tight guys. These two. This is pretty ancient. Sprague replacement cap. Atlas. And some solar caps. Dwarf Tiger. I think Cornell Dublier. And a Brown Badger. I don't think I've seen one of those before. And then a good old twist lock. Maybe scavenged out of a TV or something, just bolted into the side. So I'll be taking all that out. The biggest concern though is these transformers, which are looking kind of crummy. It doesn't mean they're bad, and hopefully they're not bad. Got one down here and one up here. This is going right to this connector, so I presume that this is the output transformer. And this is probably like audio interstage. I'm not sure what this box is. Might have been caps inside here originally. Got some old mic caps in there. And dog bone resistors. That's possibly another cap. Some kind of odd packaging. And here's that big gooey mess on the underside. See more goo coming out down there. Probably a bunch of caps are inside here, a bunch of paper caps encased in tar. And as it got leaky, it's probably generated a lot of heat, and just all that tar came bubbling and oozing out over the years. Now let's take a look at the tubes and shields. Each tube was individually wrapped. I've undone them all. And here are the pre-green tube shields. Aluminum, as I can make it. So, the tube lineup, not exactly what's indicated on the label. Starting with these guys. One of them clearly 42. The other one, I could not find a mark anywhere. tried rubbing my finger over it, shining a bright light on it. Just can't find a number, but I'm pretty confident it's also a 42. Now, there should be a third 42 driving them, but all I came up with was a 41. A little hard to read, but it looks like a 41 to me. Which is somewhat similar, might be compatible enough basing, but I'll replace that with the correct type tube. Moving on. 6A7, that's correct. Mixer oscillator. And then we got a 37, also correct for what I think is a phase inverter. And then this is a 6B7, which I guess was used in place of a 78. Maybe it's compatible, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look that one up as well. But I'll put the original type tube in there. Which means we're missing the rectifier tube. And two tubes are mismatched. But I don't know about a 5Z3. But I've certainly got a 78 and a 42, that's no problem. Here's what I was able to pull up for the Model 64 from Nostalgia Air. It's a crummy schematic, that's for sure. But we get some basic info. Okay, so 6B7 is correct. It's 78 we're missing. And one of those, that 41 should be a 42. Alright. Now here's the schematic, and I already know from doing a little research that other people have complained about it. I did see one Antique Radio Forum member mention it, and somebody said he had a nice clean one and emailed him a copy. So I will make the same request. If anybody's got one that's legible, let me know, because this is useless. And I know there's a website made in Rochester that has a lot of Stromberg Carlson info, but it doesn't have the Model 64. So I'm kind of left out on that. From what I can read, these look like pretty low microfarad values, so I'm thinking that's what's in the tar block. Probably like all of these. And then there's a filter choke on the chassis and a speaker field coil. So back before they had electrolytics, you just used some big iron to do most of the power supply filtering. Good service info. I've got all the voltages in the tube pins. And parts list. And a wiring diagram. Should be handy. And this I was especially happy to see is a chassis parts locator. So now I really will know what's been modified. So this clearly matches what I've got, for sure. On the top side, underside, not so much anymore. It looks like it's pretty good detail. So I'll be tearing out what's in there and putting in new parts and hope that this is accurate. Between this and hopefully I'll get a copy of a clean schematic that I can actually read. And here is the pre-selector mechanism. So that's the Q switch shaft they show up there. Notch spring contacts on either side. And here they explain how to set it up. Okay, looks like the Q switch selects between preset mode and just freehand tuning mode. So, what they call freewheeling is when it's the selector mechanism's disengaged and you're just tuning. And when you've got it in the other position, it must be supposed to like lock or click as you tune around. Allow the receiver to remain turned on for a period of at least 15 minutes before making a final setting of the contact points. This will ensure correct temperature adjustment of the thermostatic control. Not sure what they mean by that. Other than maybe it's a nice way to say this thing drifts while it's warming up. Well, I think I'm definitely going to need to enlist some help on getting this mechanism to work. Okay, it is. And immediately we can see there's a problem, which I already knew from seeing the owner's little overview video, and that is that the surround is rotted away. The cone is fine, spider's fine, hopefully the voice coil and field coil are fine, it just needs a new surround. So, I can use like a modern refoaming kit, because this is actually a common problem with modern speakers where the foam surround rots away. Or I can try to reproduce what they did originally, which is these leather. I have not done it before, but I've seen some stuff online about doing it. Basically, you get a chamois like you'd use for drying a car. You get a sheet of it, lay it out, cut out a circular strip of it, and glue it down. And keep everything centered and even when you do it. And that'll work out. Feels okay. It's not binding or anything. It's got some movement, so hopefully that will work out well. And finally, here's a look at the radio chassis. Really popular with tubes and knobs. I'm guessing the wooden knobs are original, and this are not. This sure looks like a knob from a Philco. So this would be the band switch. It's two bands, one from 550 kilohertz to 1500, and the other from 1400 to 3600. I feel that clicking as I go past the presets. I feel those clicks regardless of how this is positioned. So this right there. Alright, so that's going to be it for now. I took some photos and posted them on Antique Radio Forum and asked if anybody had a clearer schematic or any tips on how this mechanism works. Hopefully I'll get some feedback on a decent schematic, and in the next installment I can start checking out components, especially the power transformer and audio transformers and IF transformers.